2, 3. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Lay back down. No, don't come over here. Go lay down. Lay down. That's my dog. He likes to be up under me. Okay. Listen, this is Dana with the Data on Wednesdays. Now, like I said before, I'm trying something new. The afternoons, I kind of like it a little bit better because I get to have the rest of my day to do more work. But we'll see. There are going to be some days that I do Dana with the Data at night, but I'm back 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe. If you want to ask a question or make a comment, please send it via super chat. I do have a goal that I would like to meet. Hi, Julius, Hayward, Dre. Yes. So share, share, share. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. That's my Vicky Diller impression. All right. So listen, what are we talking about today, honey? I'm still riding on the Essence Festival. I uploaded 2 videos that are doing very well, but I wanted just to dive a little bit deeper into the Essence Festival and expand the conversation. So the title, Africans versus FBA. And I don't like to fall into that type of diatribe, but it's not like a battle, I'm better than you type thing. No, I like to come with the data and some good discussion and content. So the real truth about Essence Festival culture clash. And it is a clash. It is. It's about lack of knowledge, lack of respect, sprinkled in a little bit of ignorance. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to dive into it. I'm also going to talk about, towards the end, briefly, Zohran Mandani. He's running for mayor of New York City. And I believe that election is this year. I thought it was next year. So it's this November. I'm going to start either doing content or having live shows about the New York City mayor race. I'm going to start incorporating that, doing a little bit more deeper research on all the people running on all parties. But I wanted to highlight today at the end of the show briefly of his grifting. But a lot of people do that, grifting off of foundational Black culture. And I do want to start off, though, with Nicki Minaj. Honey, can y'all leave Bay and the Carters alone? Every time Beyonce go on tour, haters come out of the woodworks. They come out of everywhere, high and low, poor and rich, relevant or not. Haters every time this woman go on tour. And of course, they come after her husband because he's tied to her. So they bring him the heat. Now, Nicki Minaj is trying to sue Rock Nation for $200 million. Girl, have several seats. Honey, and Black X, aka Black Twitter, they are vicious, honey, because it's like, look, it's time for ICE to deport her back to Trinidad. So I'm just like, what the hell? So that's where I want to start at. Let me share. So I want us to start with Nicki Minaj. Because sometimes I think she's doing too much. We could go here. Oh, by the way, I do have my hat, but my braids is not going to let the hat sit. So I'm not going to wear the hat today because it's not going to fit properly because of the 2 braids on the side. Just a little FYI, if anybody asks, where's the hat? But I have to set up, if I'm not wearing a hat, I need to set it up that it's in the background here along with my Beyonce plaque. But I will have the hat on at another show, So yeah, so I want to get into this Nicki Minaj thing. She has been trolling Jay-Z within the last 24 hours. And apparently she is claiming that Rock Nation or Tidal, right? Tidal, the streaming service that Jay-Z sold off his portion, owes her $100 million or $200 million, and she wants her money. And I'm like, girl, you doing too much. I'm going to use some of the money Jay-Z owes me to send some of my barbs to college, pay for their school fees and student loans via my hashtag student of the game charity. You ain't getting that money. She ain't getting that money because Miss Thing ain't signed no contracts. You ain't signed no paperwork to get the money. She says, we've calculated about $100 to $200 million so far. Jay-Z called me to settle this karmic debt. It's only collecting more interest. You still in my top 5 though. Let's get it, nigga. And anyone still calling him Hove will answer to God for the blasphemy. Girl, it looked like Nicki got too much time on her hands and she probably need another album. She's going in on, I guess, his CEO, Desiree. Where was this? Calling her a rat. Wait a minute. Yes. Dear Jay-Z and Desiree, you ruin hip hop, you ruin football, you ruin basketball, you ruin touring, you ruin Instagram, you ruin Twitter. The jig is up. All of this is alleged and for entertainment purpose only. Oh, okay, so we shouldn't take you seriously. You're blaming Jay-Z for letting this woman Desiree do a lot of evil to black people, and you stayed silent. It goes on, yada yada yada. Trump pardoned her, and you supposed to be a Democrat. Why are you letting this Hispanic CEO who was pardoned by Trump basically be in black spaces on and on and on and on and on? Doing too much. But guess what? Jay-Z don't hear you. He's in the air on a private jet. He doesn't care. Honey, they about to be in Atlanta this week. Atlanta got 4 shows. So it's going to be on and popping at the Mercedes-Benz stadium. Now it's not going to outdo MetLife, honey. The Cowboy Carter. No. But Atlanta gets it in. He's jet setting. He's on tour with his wife. He ain't thinking about you or anybody else. He ain't thinking about that crazy, deranged black man saying that you're my dad, but you're 30 something years old. Even if it's true, so what? We know you just want money. You don't want a relationship because you don't know this man. You just want his money. Now, this is why I'm not championing Nicki. Because is this Steve Stout? Yeah. He came with the damn receipts.
The Super Bowl thing, I want to get back to that for a second, man. I'm not here to defend anybody. I really don't like when people who open up doors as black people get shitted on publicly like that. I just don't like it. I think in that case, what Nicki did was wrong. To bring up Tidal, his streaming company, that he gave you equity in, that you didn't sign the fucking paperwork, and that's the reason why you left millions of dollars on the table. That man didn't do nothing to you. To be talking about somebody who's putting, whether it be Kendrick or Wayne or Drake or Usher, he's putting them on the biggest stage. That's what we should be applauding. That's growth.
I agree 1000%. Is this Steve Stout, honey? Because I get confused sometimes with these names. Let me know if I'm wrong. Because who was the man that offed himself? That was 50 Cent's manager. So maybe I'm getting them confused. But he's absolutely right. Girl, you ain't signed the paperwork. She's not stupid. She knows how this industry works. You have lawyers out the wazoo. Why you ain't have the lawyers look over the paperwork and you sign? If you don't sign, you ain't getting paid. You're not going to be part of any type of royalties that may be owed to you. So is she going to reply back to Steve Stout? Because Jay-Z is not listening to no one. Jay-Z is about business. Yes, he has put hip hop artists on the biggest stage, Super Bowl, ever. So, girl, if you ain't signed your paperwork, you can't sit up here and be mad at Desiree, at Jay-Z, at Rock Nation, at whoever. And mind you, because you coming for Jay-Z, honey, you could forget about doing any more collabs with Beyonce. Honey, if I'm an artist, I am not saying anything against Beyonce or Jay-Z because I want that Beyonce collab, right? But anyway, I just want to highlight that Nicki Minaj has been doing way too much on X. And a lot of people have been doing way too much just to go viral, just to get their name out there, just to get that attention. Yeah. Um, thank you. Q Nundrum says, I am a resident of New Orleans and I've been a vendor since 1998. I've been ousted for the last 2 years. The fest needs a new owner or new fest management. Shout out to you. And see, vendors, I heard, were down this year because of the pricing out. And I mentioned that in my last upload video. And it was something with Essence, prohibiting local businesses for participating. I guess it was something. It was a controversy. It was a controversy with the Essence Festival, but vendors are down, and you are a New Orleans resident. New Orleans residents, business entrepreneurs, they should always get first dibs and the best prices when Essence come into town. So yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. And I'm with you because that is a problem. And that's what I want to get in. That's the conversation that I want to get into now. Let's see. I'm so damn indecisive. I don't know which background I want. I guess I'll just keep it there. I don't know. I'm indecisive. But anyway, I want to talk about the Essence Festival and its foundation. I want to talk about the Essence Festival and its foundation. Okay, this is just better. The Essence Festival was created by and for Black Americans. The Essence Festival was created by and for Black Americans in 1995. This was decades post the civil rights era. So when you're talking about the 1970s, 1980s, you saw an uptick in a lot of Black professional people getting into different spaces, a lot of Black entrepreneurs starting their companies, the Jets, the Ebonies, and so forth, in Essence Magazine. So Essence Festival, which was founded, of course, by Essence Magazine, a historical Black American publication. And I want to highlight the founders here. Where is it? No. Yes. No. Here we go. Yeah. No. That's better. The founders, these are the founders of Essence Magazine. Essence Communications Inc. was founded in 1968 by Clarence O. Smith, Cecil Hollingsworth, Jonathan Blunt, and Edward Lewis. The company published the first Black-owned women's magazine in the U.S., which will celebrate 55 years this year, either this year or last year. Black men created Essence Magazine, and Essence Magazine was for the purpose of Black women, to celebrate Black women. So, despite massive success as Essence Magazine has achieved today, the beginning was grueling. Within the first year, the magazine had high turnover rate. 3 of the 5 original co-owners, editor-in-chief, quit within the first year. In 75, after the company began to make profit, it nearly bankrupt the original 3 owners. The 3, they had lawsuits. They brought in Susan L. Taylor, and she really turned Essence around, right? So when we're talking about Essence, that is pure foundational Black American. Now, the New Orleans has been the location for the Essence Festival since 1995. Why? Because now we're talking about the heart of foundational Black American culture and heritage. It doesn't get any no blacker than that, than New Orleans. And the original purpose of the Essence Festival is to celebrate Black American achievements, music, entrepreneurship, and of course, Black women, the things that we go through, the beauty and the disparities that are going on in the Black community. It's our space, built from our struggle, with our money. Because the original owners, they sacrificed a lot. And it took them years to make a profit. It was established in 68. They didn't turn a profit to 75. So now, I want to play this video of Susan L. Taylor talking about Susan Taylor. I keep saying L, but Susan Taylor talking about the Essence Festival. And this was an interview with Good Morning America this year. And, she was talking about the Essence Festival this year, just the history of the Essence Festival.
It's become a beacon of Black culture during the summer festival season. Talking about Essence Fest after starting as a kernel of an idea 3 decades ago. I got a chance to speak with former Essence editor-in-chief Susan L. Taylor and Chief Content Officer Michelle G. about why the mission goes far beyond the music. Ladies, thank you so much. What an honor to have you both here. So appreciate the time. Susan Taylor, let's start with you. You started in 1970 at a little thing called Essence, right? Freelance fashion and beauty editor at the time. You later become editor-in-chief for nearly 20 years. Talk to us about building the Essence brand.
Oh my goodness. It was the spirit of the times. We're talking about the edge of the Black Power movement when we were feeling ourselves, knowing our history, our culture, and how beautiful we were. And when Essence came along at a time where we could present a stage on which we could tell our stories, which we could show our beauty, the breadth of Black women's beauty. And it was a time of real empowerment for Black entrepreneurship. Lots of advertising agencies and media organizations grew out of that moment. And it was a team that was so excited to be there and do something that had never been done before.
And Michelle, let's talk about that social impact that continues, right, to resonate with the audience. It was 55 years ago, and congratulations, you all recently celebrated. This is the cover. Susan Taylor happens to grace the cover here. What a beautiful photo here. And so May 1970 was the first issue. What do you think it is that keeps people so interested?
I mean, you think about our history, we made progress, but there are systems that are trying to push us back. So I believe that this story, this narrative on all the screens now, right? Because now we have the power to tell our story across multiple genres is still necessary. I just recently Googled and it says 9 million Black women are still looking for mentoring. How is that possible when they have visions now of people that are successful and doing things and likes and followers, but we still have this need? And so if you look in this beautiful magazine, I was really intentional about this moment because, you know, you look at Miss Taylor, she walked in the room and I almost got a tear because I said she birthed a movement. I mean, she was like this thing that seemed untouchable and this amazing thing she created. So it was about passing the torch.
And I remember, I have to say, growing up, both of my grandparents, they had the plastic covering all over their furniture and everything, but they each had ottomans there, and it would be Essence, Jet, and Ebony magazine every time I'd go in there without fail. And so I think for so many people it is about being seen, right? And before that saying was even a thing, right? About, oh, I feel seen. But let's talk about Essence Fest, now 30 years old. What was the initial mission when that first started?
It was our anniversary. And it was the 25th, and somebody made an offer and wanted to do a Black music festival. We said, let's do it. And then I thought, you know, we can't, in the second poorest state in the nation, have a festival that a lot of people won't be able to afford a ticket to. So let me create empowerment seminars. Let me bring the magazine alive, make it free and open to the public. And I think that first year I planned it, I don't know, maybe for 500 people, and 3,000 showed up, and it just has kept growing to the hundreds of thousands who come now. So that's what's so beautiful about it. And what I love is that Essence brings peace to New Orleans. It's a very challenged city. And, you know, as far as I know, there's really never been any major incident that was violent or anything that was disruptive, because we bring that spirit. The spirit of Essence.
Give us a sense of what you all are both looking most forward to about this year's Essence Fest.
Well, I'm looking forward to making sure that we capture our stories and our content. As the head of content, I have the power to make Essence Festival of Culture a big content studio. And so I want to capture the stories that matter, not just celebrity and superstars, but everyday people.
This is the home of Essence Cares. After Katrina, I said, you know, we can't go back and do what we've done. We have to deepen our mission and vision and give something to our people who have struggled so much. And this is an opportunity this year to really raise money for what has become the National Cares mentoring movement in 58 cities, where we are recruiting mentors, training them, deploying them to the, oh my gosh, the underfunded schools where our children are losing ground and will not be able to imagine the futures that they deserve.
And Michelle, as a Chief Content Officer, you helped to create the theme, We Are Made Like This. Explain what that means and why that timing is so appropriate.
So if anybody knows me, I'm a little girl from Oakland, California, and we have to be made like this. So it's our cultural affirmation as we move into a time that is so necessary to remember who we are, where we came from. One office, one situation does not determine our outcome. And so we are made like this. We are made for times like this, and we will not be silenced. So I'm excited. We're launching our Essence 360 app, which is the next phase of how we're going to serve her fully, with master classes, with wellness information. There might be some dating and some gaming and small businesses, but we're really trying to evolve how we reach her, because we know she spends 68% of her time on her screen. And so we want her to spend it with us.
Thank you so much.
So here's the thing. In Q, I put the link. I saw you. I brought you in. So I don't know. It may be a connection issue. I will be implementing the phone systems this week. So try to hop back on so I could bring you up, because I would love to hear from you, Q, because you are a New Orleans native and you are a vendor and you have been at Essence Festival. So that's Susan. Listen, so you can't go wrong with Susan Taylor. Listen, she was talking about the Black American experience and the foundation of Essence. And she's absolutely right. But I don't, it could have been a majority of this year's Essence Festival. Let's just say it could have been 80% about Black American culture and 20% about the Africa diaspora or outside of Black America. But that 20%, that's a problem. the people who are in charge are not foundational Black Americans. That's a problem. And it's not me being xenophobic. It's not me being a bigoted race. It's none of that. It's not, well, we're better than you. It's none of that. But I'm a dissect it, because now I want to bring in the Great Migration versus the modern African immigration. Different historical experiences create different cultural claims. Because Essence is about the culture, Black American culture. So from 1916 to 1970, the Great Migration, it was 6 million Black Americans that moved from the South to the North. The Great Migration, right? Built communities, businesses, traditions through Jim Crow and segregation. But then you move into the 1980s, into the 2000s, and I've said this before. That's when you had a wave of the African migration. Different relationship to American systems. We built these cultural spaces through 400 years of struggle. That's different from recent immigration. And we need to be very clear on that. So, how Black American culture became a global product, because that's what we're seeing. When we talk about hip hop, when we talk about fashion, when we talk about food, it originated in FBA communities. Global export made Black American culture worldwide currency. Economic displacement. Original creators now competing in spaces they built. I.e., look at us. Look at Essence Fest. Look at any sector, industry. Look at your community. When we look at public policies, when you look at, we just had 20 million illegals rush through the border. And so now we're competing with everybody who is non-FBA in spaces that we created. We created the culture. Now we're being priced out, i.e., vendors, Q. I got to see if you're in Q, and erased of our own festivals. Okay, Q, where are you? Let's see. Okay, I see you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. How are you?
Good. You're not on Bluetooth, are you?
No, but I think this app, and I'm over on side of the road. I think this app prevents anyone from driving and being on it, so it automatically puts you off.
Okay.
So, oh my God, Essence, where to start? So that festival, the festival of culture that takes place at the convention center, which is where all the empowerment seminars took place. That was the idea of a woman by the name of Gina Montana. If you're familiar with New Orleans culture, we had a famous Indian called Tootie Montana. He's the poster child for Indian culture. That's his granddaughter. And that woman built that idea damn near from scratch. What a lot of people don't realize that although Essence owned Essence Fest, they still delegated the things they want to have done out to various people. Now, the person who ran the concert series was a gentleman by the name of Quint Davis. Quint Davis is he's a promoter of the longest festival we have in New Orleans, which is Jazz Fest. But Quint Davis was at the reins of managing the concert, and Gina Montana was at the reins of running the convention center. Essence did move to New Orleans, out of New Orleans. Okay, am I back?
Yeah. Yeah.
moved out of New Orleans for 1 year, and that's for Hurricane Katrina. And that was Susan Taylor's last year as editor-in-chief. She resigned. She resigned after that. Well, she retired after that. I think she left because of the white ownership at that time. At that point, Essence had sold to Time Warner. It was no longer owned by it was no longer black owned. So I think when Taylor left, and shout out to Susan Taylor, that woman is 81 years old.
Yeah, she need a break. She yeah. And she looks good.
Kind of bad for 81 years old. But needless to say, Essence in Houston after Hurricane Katrina was when she left, and I have reason to believe that she left as a result of them selling Essence to white people.
He dropped out again. I'm going to get the damn phone lines. I have to get the phone lines. Have to, because it's so much easier when people call in than the app. Okay, there he goes. 1 second.
I'm struggling.
Right, you're back on.
But needless to say, they have went since they sold, and since the gentleman, the Shea Butter King has owned it. They went through 3 different management teams to actually run Essence, and it has been a crap show ever.
Oh my God, he keeps dropping out. It's me, because it's the system that I'm using is kind of flaky.
I'm in the boondocks, but needless to say,
so it's both of them.
Yeah. So year before last, they oversold the boots. They had people that paid for boots, paid for spaces, came down to do business, and they had no boot space for them. This year, they undersold the boots. 4 years ago, they forgot to secure the end of the convention center where the food was going to be, and they had the people go outside and cook the food.
Oh wow! So it was just it was unorganized.
Imagine trying to fry chicken in 103-degree New Orleans weather, where it's already, if it's 103 degrees, it feels like 120.
Right.
But it has been mismanaged from since this guy took over.
And that goes to me, I think part of that goes to not knowing the culture, not understanding, not knowing, not understanding, not doing any true investment. He thought that he could come in and bring and incorporate his culture, because that's what he knows.
Yep, I agree.
And so, listen, I have bought Shea Moisture products. I like his coconut baby wash, not all his products, but I like that one. But at the same time, a lot of times, just because you are a successful capitalist doesn't mean every venture that you take on is going to be successful or that you're going to be good at it. And when it comes to Black American, our spaces, what we built, what we created, and we got to take some blame on that, because listen, it was sold to a white person. The white person sold it to a Nigerian. He's American, but he's Nigerian, and he became very successful, wealthy man here in America, and he was allowed to do that because of Black American struggle. I'm gonna let Q finish up when he pops back in, because I know he's not in a not so good area. Yeah, there you go. All right, Q. So you know what? Finish up, and then I'm just gonna go on with the show, because I know you're not in a good area. Can you hear me? No, I can't even hear him. Yeah, he's in, because he did say he's in the boondocks. He did say he's in the boondocks, so I get it. So let me just continue on real quick, because I want to hit the points that I wanted to make. So we created the culture. Now we're being priced out. Q just came out here and he said, they oversold vendors, probably overpricing. So it looks like it's the erasure of our own damn festival. So I want to play the new CEO of Essence. I believe her name is Carolyn Wagga. She is Kenyan. She's Kenyan. She's an American Kenyan. And this was back in 2002 when this person posted this on X. It says Kenyan CEO of Essence, Carolyn Wagner, tried to poison the minds of Black Americans at the Essence Festival because now the lineage-based policy is on the move. Black Americans will question why a Kenyan is running Essence. So this is her explaining why she's running Essence. All right, you guys said no sound. Let me go out and bring it back in. I had to do something. All right, here we go.
Optimal health because we.
Can you hear that?
Optimal health because we started at the wrong place. Your foot is broken and you're over here trying to make sure your face look good. But you can't walk. The last one is world. What does that mean?
Okay, you can hear it. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It means something really simple that is a pet peeve of mine that I'm going to put on the table and then we're going to shut up. All this BS about African versus U.S. Black versus Caribbean Black versus Canadian Black versus Antarctica Black. I don't have facts to prove that. We everywhere. Arctic Black. If you allow that narrative to exist within you, you're participating in dismantling who we're supposed to be in this world, y'all. Rich and I are no less dedicated to the Black community in the U.S. than we are to the Black community in Africa and in the Caribbean and in Europe. And the fact that our descent is African and your descent might be different does not mean that we can't represent all. And we're not fighting for all. And we keep letting this narrative exist in the world. I told y'all this is me. If you were calling me, this is how it would come out, y'all. And I'm going to tell you why I'm triggered on that in a second. Anybody can believe what they want to believe. What I need the world part of this to do is to proactively dismantle the part of that conversation that is about if you ain't a Black, I certify you don't deserve to help make Black better. Because the amount.
All right, so let me go to the next video of hers. It's another part to it.
We spend, because the amount of energy that we spend, and this is honest, y'all, the amount of energy that we spend trying to mitigate around that is taking energy away from what we could be doing. When I took this job with Rich, and he knows this, and we were writing the press release, it was literally a conversation about should I put on there that I'm Kenyan or not? Dead ass. You can cut this in the video, Steph. Then I'll say it again, dead ass. Why do I have to sit there and think about if in an interview, on a stage, in a place where I'm talking about this thing that is my job, I gotta be careful about saying if I'm Kenyan, because somebody won't think that I can lead them because they're not from Kenya, but they're black like me. That my black can't be their black and their black can't be my black.
It cannot.
So when I say world, shut it down. Spend the energy finding what you can do. You don't gotta like me, you don't even think I'm gonna be successful. Just don't dismiss me because I'm Kenyan, and I won't dismiss you because you're black. And if you're around people that look like us that are feeding that narrative, tell them they can feel how they wanna feel, but please, again, don't touch the silverware if that's how you feel. Because we gotta eat. Why am I triggered by that? Because of the last 2 days and then the next 2 days. Do you see how beautiful it is for how we gather? Do you see what we've been able to do together unapologetically? Do you understand what this has done to fuel the way that people got to go back and be they black? So what would the world look like?
And I believe it's one last video with her. Oh, no, that was it. Okay, it's just these two. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I want to talk about Black culture, because there is a difference between your black and my black. You black this, you black that. Look at the Italian American parade, the Italian festival that they have annually in Little Italy. Do you think that they are going to allow a foundational Black American, let alone a damn African immigrant, or even an Irish person, be the CEO or the leaders of the organization that put that together? Hell no. Do you see any outside culture representing the Italian festival, the Italian parade? Absolutely not. The Irish parade annually going up Fifth Avenue. You don't see Black American incorporating their little foods. You don't see Miss New Jersey representing the Irish parade. A black woman who was Miss New Jersey representing the Irish parade. You don't see none of that. You see only their culture. Culture. The Puerto Rican Day Parade. Oh my God. And I think that's the biggest. When we're talking about corporations, when we're talking about artists, it is all about Puerto Rico. You don't see Mexican. You don't see Venezuelan. You don't see Dominican. You don't see no other Spanish-speaking Caribbean or no other country representing the Puerto Rican festivals. So why is it when it comes to foundational, we have to share space with you and incorporate your culture into ours when it's two different cultures? It is. So Susan Taylor, that's Black America. That's foundation Black America. And I remember back in New York, you had B. Smith home luxury line, B. Smith restaurants. You had the Shark Bar. We had the Beacon Theater, Mr. Leo's, Jezebel's. It was an era of Black opulence. And Black people, Black Foundation, Black Americans, you do got to take a little bit of accountability because it looks like we are proud. It seems like the generation of today is proud to be ignorant, proud to be an ignorant generation, walking out the house with a bonnet on, with slippers, pajamas on, pants. No. So if we want to talk about preserving our culture, our Black American culture is not ignorant. It is opulence. It is excellence. And I want to ask the question, what is Black culture? Who gets to define authentic Black culture? So the FBA perspective, our Black culture is a Black American experience. When you talk about slavery, Jim Crow, Reconstruction era, Civil Rights Movement, when we talk about, I would say, the golden age, when we had all this wonderful Black publication and entrepreneurship. And even today, Black Americans today, we have a whole bunch of resources and freedoms that were sacrificed from our ancestors prior. And when I say ancestors, I'm going back to the baby boomers, the silent generation, and slavery. So now let's talk about Africans, the African perspective, their culture, their Black culture. You have African roots, you have traditions, you have languages, and you have customs that we are not privy to. We know nothing about. We don't know any type of African language because there's so many. We don't know your customs because there's so many. We don't know your traditions. We don't know your African roots. Why? Because that's not where we're from. That is your culture. You don't invite us in whatever country you want to pick in the continent of Africa to insert foundational Black American culture in yours. You don't allow it. Because when we come in your country, we have to help celebrate and participate in your culture, in your traditions, in your African roots, in your food, in your music. Let's go to Caribbean and the other diaspora. Their Black culture. When you talk about colonial resistance, the Queen, honey, island traditions, they have a lot of mixed heritage. That is their culture, not ours. It's a difference. You're not inviting Black America to come and insert collard greens and chitlins at your festivals, or have a chitlins versus cow tongues or whatever. You're not doing that. So why you feel as though you could do it with such ease and privilege here? And part of that is our elders allow it. The Marcus Garveys, the Pan-Africanism friendly ideology, Black Americans. See, you allow to crack open that door. And what they do is come in, because this is America at the end of the day. This is a capitalist country. It is about the dollar. They know they could make money off of our culture because everybody else has done that. Can you be Black without the American struggle experience? No, you cannot be a foundational Black American without the American struggle experience. If you have not experienced the Black American struggle, you're not part of our culture. You're not our Black. There's a difference between creating culture and adopting it. FBA, we created jazz, blues, soul food, fashion, and of course, hip hop. Tariq Nasheed had to create a documentary, Mic Check, to push back against the Hispanics and the Caribbeans and the Africans and everybody else that tried to claim it when you did not. Recent immigrants using FBA culture that we created by way of expressions. And I get it because it's global. But the question is, does creating something give you more ownership than participating? It's supposed to. If I create it, I need to take the responsibility to copyright it, to own it. Now, you can participate, you can contribute, but I own it, not you. You can't come in and remix it. But when you look at the music industry, yes, it was poor Black kids that created rap, that created hip hop. But do they own their masters? No. Africans don't even own it. Jews do. The record labels, as a Jewish person, face attached to the record labels, who's in charge of it. Again, we do have to start taking accountability. But part of taking accountability is saying, you know what? Let's own our shit. Let's put our resources together. Let's own it. Let's control it. You can participate. Italians, you could go to the Italian festivals and Italian parades and the Puerto Rican parades, and you can have fun and you can eat, but you are an invited guest. You are paying to participate in their culture because they own it. And that is the accountability that FBA needs to start doing. We need to start owning our culture and letting others pay to participate. If Africans didn't create hip hop, can they claim it as Black culture? They can't claim hip hop because they didn't create it. Hell, they didn't really create Afro beats, but that's their shit. It is Black American culture, but you can't claim it as yours. You can't participate. And that's the difference. Geography versus genetics. What makes culture? Is Black culture about where you're from or what you look like? Black American culture is about where you're from. If you're not from here, if you're not foundational, if you're not freedmen, if you're not American descendants of slave, if you're not Negro, then you're not part of our Black culture. So it is where you're from. Carolyn Wanga, she looks Black. She is Black. But she's not Black like me. Because the cultures are different. We come from two different places. Her lineage is Kenya. She's Kenyan. She's an American citizen, but born and raised in Kenya. Black American culture is uniquely American because of the location based and the experience that we went through here in this country. All Black people share African DNA, but all non-Black people do too. So when people say, well, your DNA says African, so does the white person. Everybody could trace their DNA back to the beginning of time of somebody coming out of Africa. But what is the difference? Your lineage is different. So I may have 20% West African in my DNA, but that's not my lineage. My lineage is foundational Black America. My lineage is Black freedmen. See, it's the difference. We are not the same. Shared oppression creates shared culture. We don't even share the same oppression. Look what's going on in the country of Kenya today. They have an uprising. That's not our experience. That's your shit over there. Your Black country, Black government run. Everybody's black, but you're Kenyan. That oppression is not our oppression, not even historically. So no, just because you are being oppressed in your country does not mean we share the same oppression. It's a different type of oppression. Let's go to skin color. Is a Nigerian more connected to Black culture than a light-skinned FBA. I'm light-skinned. She's dark-skinned. She's from Kenya, but let's just say she was Nigeria. No, I'm more connected to my foundational Black American culture here because that is my lineage. See, Black people, no, we're not a monolith. And we're not a monolith in our skin color either. Just because you're dark doesn't mean you are connected to Black culture. Your skin color doesn't make you more Black. Well, doesn't make you more entitled to our Black American culture. The Blacker you are doesn't mean you are part of our foundation. So skin color makes you more Black? No, it doesn't make you more foundational Black American. It does not. So the question I ask, what is Black culture to you? And I want you guys to answer that in the chat, in the description below. What is Black culture to you? And I'm going to have to do a panel debate on this. I want to have to do a panel debate on what is Black culture to you. I see, who is this? Gray? Who's Gray? I have to get the phone lines. Hello?
Oh, thank you so much. I really, really like your show, Dana. Thank you so much for this platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, Black culture is everything you said, but I would phrase it more as African American culture. Hello?
Okay, elaborate. Yeah, can you hear me?
Well,
Can you hear me?
sometimes the app is going in and out. I hear you right now, but sometimes it's going in and out.
Okay, so explain why we should use African American.
Just in terms of this perspective, I think we all people who have dark skin descended out of Africa can go under the banner of Black. But when we're talking about foundational Black Americans, we're talking about people who are descendants of African slaves, who are in this country, who created a culture based on our experiences here. I don't know if the app is working or if it stopped a little bit.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I do. I do think there's a lot of benefit in thinking of ourselves as Black as a whole. And I think if we ever are able to have a collective identity that way, we can have more political power that way. However, there's no reason to abandon being African American or foundational Black Americans to join under the banner of Blackness at all. The problem with that lady and what she was saying and all these other people who come in and try to siphon off of our culture is they have no respect. As soon as they get over here, they align themselves with the white power structure against us in every way they can. Africa itself, she knows as a Kenyan that there are so many different ethnic groups within Kenya, because Kenya is a country, it's a nation state, it's not necessarily an ethnic group. And all across Africa, there are many ethnic groups. And she knows full well she can't go right to the next ethnic group and start talking that stuff. She knows that full well. And she knows full well she will not let a foundational Black American come over to whatever her ethnic group is in Kenya and try to run plays. They know that full well. So they want to try to use that stuff on us because, you know, it's taken a while to get to this point with Essence Fest, where we are facing them directly and we're saying, hey, you guys are running them up. You are really trying to siphon off of what we're doing and basically cosplay as African Americans. And we're done with it. We're done with white folks doing it. We're done with quote unquote mixed folks doing it. We're quote unquote unambiguous folks doing it. I think the guy who is running for mayor right now in New York City has done it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm about to bring him up because so the only thing I disagree with you, and I want to push back a little bit. I don't call myself
sure.
African American. Now, growing up, I did because I forgot who was the man who created that term, and I think he created it in the 80s, this black man. But the reason why I no longer call myself African American is because of the Mandandis, the Elon Musk, and the Carolyn Wagners, and all these other people who come here, right? And because they were born and raised in Africa, they too can claim African American, and then go into public policies. They benefit from public policies as far as education, business loans, housing, and everything else. So it lumps us up with all of these other people who are not foundational or freedmen. You get what I'm saying? So that African American term now is so diluted. It's not what it was. And I think we should no longer call ourselves that.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
Thank you. I think, you could say that, but that's really a minority of people who do that. Elon Musk, for example, him being a white African, the term for them is actually Afrikaner. It's not really African, it's Afrikaner. Barack Obama, you could claim he's an African American because his black side is coming from his father's side, and his white side is coming from, his American mom. But I think 95% of the time when people say African American, we know who we're talking about. And I like the distinction of foundational Black American, because let's say your parents came over here in the 50s from the Caribbean, and you were born here and you're African American, but you may not be a foundational Black American. So I like both terms. I like African American very much. I think it's easy to understand. And I think foundational Black American is even more specific when you need to make the distinction.
African
But
American
I love the platform a lot.
Thank you. I really appreciate you coming on. African American is more politically correct to use. So that's true in that fact of it. But the other factor is what I'm seeing is like the Mandandis and people coming, African immigrants, they are taking advantage of that term because they're able to check it off, right? And then they're able to benefit from all the resources that come with that when it comes to policies and resources. So, but this conversation, is talking about culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are other conversations that I do plan on having because you have culture, but how does this affect us when we're talking about public policies? And it does affect us, right? So this conversation I do plan on going more deeper and spreading it out. But thank you so much for hopping on. I really have to get the phone lines because it's so much easier for people to call.
Okay. Awesome. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Phone lines are better. Phone lines are better. I have another person. Okay, this is T. 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 Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Say something else.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I basically just wanted to talk as a New Orleans person and as a person who has vended, Essence for many years. It's like one thing, and this is tying back into the cultural piece, is that it really is a problem when you trying to take the culture of not only Essence but New Orleans. It's like you trying to take it out. I'm talking about them. It's like the organizers trying to take it out and reinsert something else in its place, because no disrespect to any other place, but it's New Orleans that's bringing the fire to Essence. It's like Essence comes to New Orleans because of what New Orleans is, and that's from the food and the music to Mardi Gras and everything else. And I think where they're falling off is because Essence used to be an experience. Like, you could go to Essence, it wasn't just a concert. It was a festival. It was going on all over the city. You had people coming from all over the world, celebrities being around and everything like that. I can remember, like I say, like 2008 to 2014, that was like the golden age of Essence. I mean, we were in the convention center. They had a whole wall that was like sponsored by McDonald's. Keith Sweat just came in and just did a performance, just out the blue, just came and just busted a performance right in the middle of the convention center. And I think that they're messing up too, the whole not having super lounges. Because the thing is, you have the Superdome, and the walk from the Superdome is basically like all of the hotels are on Canal and Poydras, like those streets. So you got people coming to and from the Superdome. You got, I'm talking about walking on foot, you know. You have people, all kind of street vendors all up and down the street selling food, even like a Jamaican dude riding a bike, cutting fruit, you know, doing things like that. People from all over selling jewelry and art and paintings and all of that. You know, kids in the hood standing on the side selling water, you know. So I mean, it goes deep, and it definitely it's the culture of New Orleans. You know, Essence is Essence, but the thing that really sets Essence off is the city of New Orleans.
And that is probably why Susan Taylor, you know, with her being as brilliant as she is, wanted it in New Orleans for that. And I get it. It makes sense. It makes sense. I've never been to New Orleans, and I really do want to go. And New Orleans, from what I've seen and hear, you know, I don't know, it's something about it. It's mystique, it's romantic, it's cultural, the food, the music, everything. So
you know what it is, and I'll actually tell you, it's the water. It's the fact that we're one of the oldest cities in the country. And I mean, this is like a major port. You know, you got the Mississippi River, you got Lake Pontchartrain, you got it is all of this. There's real energy here.
Okay.
You know,
that makes sense.
and I just hope that they because like I say, nothing against anybody else, but it's like, yo, this is our thing.
Right.
You know, it's our thing. I mean, even when you talk about Mardi Gras, you know, because see, normally the issue that we deal with, you got gentrification, you know, and it's weird because you got other people who've been moving down here and they try to act like they more New Orleans than us. It's like, well, look, I know you like the culture, Bob from Nebraska, you know, but it's like this was here before you got here, bro. You know, and I think it's just there just has to be some respect there.
Right. And that's what it is, respect. And part of respect is doing your research, you know, knowing and trying to understand and being respectful. Because listen, I'm from the East Coast. I'm born and raised in New Jersey. That's not, New Orleans is a different environment for me, and I never been there. But if I were to go there, it's like, yeah, I want to try the foods. I'm not going to try and bring my New Jersey-ness there and incorporate it, right? No, you embrace what's there and you respect it. You appreciate it, and part of appreciating it is spending your money patronizing these Black businesses that make the city what it is. So yeah, and I think that's starting to get lost. And listen, that's what, to me, as this festival is headed. But I'm glad that we are having this discussion and bringing it to light so that we can recapture, you know, the pure essence of the Essence Festival. But thank you. I really appreciate you coming on.
And I do appreciate you taking my call too.
Yes, I will be getting phone lines, so it'll be no more of these links. But yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, I see Mincy, and then I'm just going to go into Mandani. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Good.
I'm also good. I'm in South Africa right now.
Oh, I plan on visiting South Africa.
Yeah, it's kind of. I don't think it's a good time. A lot of political activities at the moment.
Honey, I'm going to Cape Town. I'm going to where the tourists and where the wealthy people are.
Yeah, the beaches are very, very good that side. I don't have much to say, right? I just wanna just lend my support. I understand what you guys are talking about. I think it's important that people have to somehow, how can I say, find themselves, because I don't think it's going to help anyone by keep on calling them, with names that they don't appreciate. You know what I mean?
What are you talking about? The Tether?
Especially with the whole the African American names and stuff. I think like here where we come from, you don't call people Africans because that, I don't think it's an identity. I think it's more of a geographical thing. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, oh, you're African, you are in Africa. But if you were to come to me and say, hey man, you're African, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, because it doesn't really describe me. It's just describe where I'm from. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? So the very same way you can say to an African American, you say, okay, you're an African American. Somebody will be like, yeah, but I'm not in Africa. You understand? So in here at home, it's we have, like titles, like you have the Nguni peoples, you have the Bantu people. So when you say to a Nguni person you're an African, you kind of like saying to that person you are Nguni, you are like Yoruba, you are Ethiopian, and that person will not simply accept that. So when somebody says, okay, maybe we are FBAs, I think in that way it kind of saying, okay, I want to be this specific person. I don't just want to be black or just African, but I want to be, belong to this group of people. You
Okay.
understand?
Well, mhm.
Because when you say,
And I was going to say, I understand what you're saying, especially when you're talking about the continent of Africa, people in different countries, y'all don't call each other African, because it's different tribes.
we
You
don't
don't do
do
it.
that,
Now,
yeah.
also, let me just say this about South Africa, honey, because the same thing that we go through here with the illegals coming into America, South Africa, y'all was pushing back. You didn't want to, y'all was saying, listen, stop letting these Indians, Nigerians, and everybody else come into this country taking our jobs and opportunities, right?
At the moment, at this point in time, like even today, there's protests everywhere because people are saying, because in South Africa, it's different to other parts of the Africa. So in South Africa, like healthcare is free, education is free, and all of those things. So you have people from like Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Swaziland, all coming in to have that, part of that benefit. You understand? So now you find hospitals are being like they're overcrowded, and now people are saying we can't allow you to come into a hospital and access free healthcare without producing, let's just say maybe a passport, something that shows us that you are here legally. You understand? And even like currently, maybe after we're done with this, you can just do a research. There's protest everywhere because people are saying now we are tired. The schools are overcrowded because there's no
Yeah, like
space.
just the same way
You understand?
we're protesting. That's why we elected Trump, to get these illegals up out of here, because you're overcrowding our cities, our schools, and you're taking advantage of our, resources that we pay taxes into, and you did not. So, I hear you. And so people think that, oh, America is so bad. We're the only ones where we treat people so bad. No, because what we're experiencing, other countries are experiencing the same thing when it comes to immigrants coming in legally or illegally. So, and I do know, I've read some stories with that with South Africa. And South Africa is a very large country,
Yeah,
damn near the same size as the
yeah.
United States, if not the same size. So, yeah. So, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on all the way from South Africa, honey. Where you at, in Johannesburg?
I'm a bit far from Johannesburg. I'm in the northern part.
Okay.
It's called the
It's
Limpopo. Yeah,
wintertime there
it's a
now,
bit
right?
far
It's
from Joburg.
wintertime in South Africa.
Yeah, it's very cold, and I'm at work right
Oh,
now.
okay. All right. Well, shout out to all the South Africans,
Yeah.
honey. That's on my bucket list.
No, I'm just happy to be part of the conversation.
I really appreciate you being a part of the conversation, and I appreciate you hopping on. All right. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right.
You too.
Thank you. Shout out to South Africa, honey. Yes. So speaking of African American, Tina Turner, honey, she talked about her experience when they went to Africa to perform.
All we do is work. We go, we check in a hotel, and we go on stage, and we go to the airport. So you have to feel some kind of inspiration from a city, right? So when I go like to Africa, I'm very down because like the food isn't good. I don't get any really good, fantastic vibes from the people, so I'm just really bored.
It was on 19 seconds. Yvette Carnell inspired. She said Tina Turner was uninspired by Africa. I guess she didn't feel the connection to the motherland. Everybody don't, but let me tell you this: this Senegalese food is banging. Jollof rice came from Senegal, the Jollof tribe. So all this Ghana, Nigerian versus who had the best jollof. Your honey, your jollof is dry. The Senegalese jollof is the creators, i.e., going back to the cultural thing, and is way better. So listen, there are a lot of wonderful factors about different countries throughout the continent of Africa. Black Americans, we are not anti nobody. But it gets to a point to where we have to start showing or pushing back or letting people know, stop trying to take our shit. Stop trying to invade our space. Stop trying to remix it. Stop trying to incorporate your culture into ours and calling it one. We are not one. Because if we really want to go back into history, is the countries alongside West Africa going to pay reparations to Black Americans? Because you did sell us to the white man. All of us was not king and queens. The people in the continent of Africa are all not kings and queens. It is not a whole Wakanda utopia. So let's keep it a buck. You came here by way of foundational Black Americans for a better life, for capitalism. Just like everybody else in the world that comes to this country, they come for the money. They come to participate in capitalism. This one here, Uganda be kidding. Yeah. Backlash after Mandani called himself an African American, grifting. And he says, yes, he is a socialist and he's proud of it. Grifting for your vote. And I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of Black people voting for this man because of this bobblehead who is a foundational Black American who endorsed Zohran Mandani, Al Sharpton, a con artist, a pimp pastor. You're a pastor, but you don't have a church that you congregate over, and you never did. See, so the problems that we're having with the Essence Festival, allowing outsiders be CEOs, be in control, and I'm talking about the C-suites. See, the decisions are made in the C-suites. We don't have much here in this country. We don't dominate in a lot of industries and ownership. And Essence Festival was probably one of the main things that we completely owned and operated. But when you allow the decision makers to be outsiders, that's the problem. That's when you see a downfall in your culture, in your society, in your community. When you see Negroes like bobblehead Al Sharpton endorsing a socialist, endorsing a man who is grifting for Black votes by calling himself African American. He checked off African American on all of his college applications. And I'm pretty sure he checked it off when he applied for a house. He also checked off Asian. So he was double dipping to get resources to pay for his education here. That was only supposed to be allocated for us. So when I say FBA, freedmen, Negroes, ADOS, whatever you want to call yourself, the foundation, Black Americans here, take accountability for your shortcomings in your bullshit cosplaying. Because Al Sharpton is a prime example. When you endorse shit like this, when you hire a Nigerian, I don't care how successful of a capitalist that man, what's his name, Rich something, has been. And listen, to Carolyn Wagner, she may be a phenomenal C-suite corporate management leader. But when you're talking about a venture that was created to highlight and celebrate culture, a specific culture that you are not a part of, you have the only thing you want to do is just incorporate your own and think we're stupid when you try to say we're all one. We are not. We are different. You are not like us. You are not. And I don't understand, why is it that we allow people to come in, but we allow them to take control, to take ownership of our shit?
And coming to terms with something that really reshapes what's possible and what a coalition looks like, it may take some people time. And what's so exciting to me is that this was a campaign that was laser focused on an economic agenda and on making clear that every New Yorker belongs in this city. They deserve the same respect, the same recognition. And ultimately, what good is it if we call this the greatest city in the world if the people who built it can't afford to live here? And the increased turnout, it's not just generational. I also say this as the first South Asian elected official, the first Muslim elected official to ever run for mayor. The turnout in those same communities has been incredible to see. And
yeah, so, he's like Kamala Harris. He's going to pick a tribe, pick a race, pick a lineage, pick a culture that suits him for that moment to get your support and votes. And I want to play this clip of Mayor Eric Adams talking about Mandani's socialism.
So Mamdani and many of his supporters
I'm sorry, it's Mandani. Mandani
are proud democratic socialists.
Yes.
What do you think of democratic socialism as a set of policies for New York City at this time?
Yeah, great question. And 70% of New Yorkers are not anti the term socialism. And many people don't really understand the term socialism and what it means. I've been to Cuba, I've been to Venezuela, I've been to countries where socialism exists. I saw the empty shelves in the ration books in Cuba and what it means. So we're romanticizing the terminology, and it always sounds good, that, I'm a socialist. But when you dig into what it means, you understand. When you get stuff for free, someone is paying for it. Mm-hmm. And so that delivery worker who's giving us 12 hours on that bike or moped delivering food, people who are getting things for free, that delivery worker is paying taxes. So all these things that when you are really frustrated, you have a tendency to believe that what he is selling, he could deliver, and he can't. Just look at the free bus conversation. In order to get free buses, you need $3 billion. He says, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tax the 1%ers in New York, and I'm going to get the $3 billion from them. Here's the problem. Mayors can't raise income taxes. Assemblyman can. He's an assemblyman. He didn't do it. So why does he believe he's going to do it now when the governor said that is not going to happen? Or his socialist theory of let's open government supermarkets. Hey, what about the bodegas, brother? What about those men and women in the Korean community that open up supermarkets, that open up stores? What about the Chinese community or the Arab community? All of these communities have used their feeding of their constituencies as a way to hire people and to move up in the American dream. So we're going to totally disregard them and collapse an entire industry? Or look at this great socialist idea of emptying Rikers Island. We passed bail reform. So to get on Rikers Island, you have to be one of the most dangerous people in the city of rape, robbery, homicides, murders. 7,400 people are there. His mindset is, we're going to close down Rikers and put them back into the communities. They're going to go back into the black and brown communities where they victimized for years. When you think about the theory, this is an intellectual elitist that is actually doing some form of experiment. And I'm saying we need real experience to get this done.
Yeah, I ain't need all that damn music. And he's absolutely right. Socialism is a problem because when you look at other socialist countries, they're shits. The people want out. This is what I wanted to play. America was not built for socialism.
What are you? Are you Arab, Indian? What are you? You look ambiguous. You look weird. You look weird. What the fuck are you?
I'm an Indian, Ugandan, New Yorker.
Okay, so you're African American. So would you claim the African American status like Elon Musk?
No, I would not.
Why not? You're African, but you're African, right? I knew you grew up there. Your middle name is Kwame.
I am. I'm proud to be Ugandan.
Okay.
But I think that is misleading.
He's saying he thinks that is misleading, but you put that you are African American on applications to benefit, to get benefits, to get resources. So I saw that to say, don't vote for this man. He's full of shit. And if he's an assemblyman and everything he says that he wants to do as mayor, Mayor Eric Adams was right. Only the assembly can do it. So why didn't he try to push to get those policy passed? And if he did try, they probably said to him, get the F up out of here. It's not going to happen. So he's lying. But that's the only type of platform he could run on because he's a little AOC puppet and she's a socialist / commie. So that's his angle, socialism and communists. The so-called power to the people BS being used in the wrong way. Now, before I get up out of here, I wanted to share this here. You see this from Essence? Just so we could sum all this up. Essence Ventures was represented by Barque Tubman. She is another African. Global led on talent and diasporic engagement. This launch signifies the kickoff of a partnership between NCAC and Essence Ventures to build a framework with Essence as global knowledge and cultural partners of origins, a core NCAC initiative, and for Destination 2030, Nigeria everywhere, the global platform of the ministry. Are you kidding me? So now they want to take this Essence thing to Nigeria. Let me say something about Nigeria, honey. They have Noble, that's like their Hollywood. They have everything. And so what the Nigerians are doing, see, don't be fooled with that bridge a gap with we're all one bullshit. What they're really trying to do is come here, capitalize off of our culture, own it, remix it to theirs, and bring it back over there. Let me repeat that. Nigerians come here, capitalize off our culture, own it, remix it, and then take it back home. Why the hell are we allowing this to happen? The Essence Festival Culture held annually in New Orleans is the largest festival in America by per day attendance, attracting over 500,000 attendees daily over the 3-day event. The lunch signals and recognizes Essence global intent and expansion aiming to build a solid foundation for its global Black community and bridge a gap with Nigeria as focal. The fuck? What are you doing, Essence? How do we get to here from here? This is where we started. Melba Moore, another lady sings the blues. Tenant knows your rights. This is where we started. Special Essence cover, the Paris scene. Conversation with James Baldwin, Why I Left America, Birth Control and Black Women. How we get from this to Nigeria as focal? They're trying to take this shit to Nigeria. They are already owning it and operating in a decision-making positions here in America. And this is the problem that I have with you baby boomers, because you created something for us, by us, and now you're letting Africans come over here and take the shit. But then people want to sit up here and, downplay Tariq Nasheed. Hell, they even downplay Yvette Cornell. So I'm like, all that bickering between the two, just stop. Just go your separate ways. Because if it wasn't for Tariq Nasheed, listen, all the documentaries he did to preserve our culture and to mentally reshape our brains to say, no, we have a culture and it's beautiful and it's profitable and you need to preserve it. You need to own it. Nigeria, how in the hell we go from this, honey? This. Now, FYI, I will be, and I'm about to read the super chats. I'm going to be doing a video because I'm digging deeper. I'm going to expose how these African leaders weren't fucking with Black Americans going back to the 60s. And today you have a room full of African leaders meeting with President Trump. Now, I can tell you this as a fact. Not near one of those Black African leaders mentioned or brought up, and it was not even on the talking points on the agenda about bridging the gap with Black Americans and Africa. They ain't thinking about us. They came here to meet with this president for their own personal needs, for their country, for their people. They ain't talking about Black Americans coming together with the Africans and, for resources, for ventures, for business. They're not talking about none of that. And I'm going to drop a video this week, and I'm going to expose how these African leaders did not want to deal with Black Americans. Damn sure they want to deal with us on a political leadership position. I got the audio and everything. And I'm going to break down what was said amongst these African leaders in the Trump administration today. FBA was not on the table. Friedman was not on the table. What did they call that come back home thing that Ghana tried to have? They ain't talk about none of that. They ain't talk about none of that. Shout out to Burkina Faso, that country. Because he's saying, F you, America, F Europe, period. We doing our own damn thing. And if I was to decide to go to Africa, it will probably be that damn country. But I'm not going outside of this country at all. It doesn't make sense. So thank you again to Q, and thank you for Q for calling in. I'm a resident of New Orleans, and I've been a vendor since 98. I've been ousted for the last 2 years. The feast needs new owner and new feast management. If you ever let people up, I will give firsthand account of the foolishness. Oh yeah, and he came up, so I appreciate that, Q. Susan Taylor is an awesome woman. She was the Essence brand. Yes, Solomon. Yes, she was. Because she was us. Because she was us. Trey Vision, they all talk that mess, but they use our culture. Exactly. Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. Hi. It's been a minute. Black culture is too deep to explain. We develop a subculture under the ruling culture. We also have Northern and Southern Black culture as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. Charlize Theron says she's African American back in 1997, and she's right. We are not African. Exactly. I don't watch none of her movies because what she did to those two black boys, turning them into girls, honey. Thank you, Nicole. We can't use African because Elon is African American. Yeah. Mr. Salute to Dana with a great show as always, and salute to my FBA fam. Yes, thank you, Mr. B. Thank you, Darius. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Realist Renee. They could have created a new global event in Africa instead of stealing Essence Fest. Absolutely. But see, you need the infrastructure. You need the infrastructure because it's not going to pop if you just try to create your thing over there and say, oh, y'all come over here to us. See, that's the sneak attack. Come in, assimilate yourself into the culture to make it seem like, oh, we all one, we all in this together, we all are oppressed, different oppressions. I talked about that earlier in the show. And then you work your way up to C-suites, decision-making positions, and then owning it. And I say again, FBA, take accountability because you allowed this to happen. But yeah, they could create their global event. But see, they needed something to latch on to. Thank you, Alonzo Dunn. White supremacy plays both sides. They use these people to dilute our power. Absolutely. 63 CBC members, 63 Congressional Black Caucus members, 50 of them are tethers. I think we have more than 63. I think it's like 120 Congressional Black Caucus members. I don't know. Yeah. So again, it was something that I want. Oh, Afro beats, real quick. When you talk about culture, Afro beats is their thing, and I like Afro beats. Listen, like I said, I love Senegalese food. I like Afro beats. I love Burna Boy's new song, "Sweet Love." But you notice whether it's Burna Boy, Davido, and Davido or Davido, whatever, he performed at Essence Fest. Nothing wrong with that. There are Black Americans that go to their concerts, that buy their music. That is why you became famous. You had to come here and pop off in order to be a global, worldwide star. And to come here and pop off, you need Black American support. So we were rocking with the Afro beats. Burna Boy, in order for him to get a hit, he knew he had to use our Black culture because he had that Toni Braxton music for his that hit. I forgot the name of that song, but he used the Toni Braxton song and it popped off. It was a hit. It was a hit because of us. You need us more than we need you. And I think foundational Black Americans, we don't believe that. We lost that type of confidence. They need us more than we need them. And to make sure that nobody takes what you create, have ownership. You don't have to have a whole lot of money, but just have ownership. You have to know the business of business. So listen, we have our own issues. We have a lot of work to do, but they need us more than we need them. And that goes for whether you're Italian, Irish, Asian, Hispanic, Mexican, South American. It goes for everybody else, even white people. Even white people. White people, you need us more than we need you. However, we are more locked together than any other group. We are. It may look like, yeah, you're always on top and we're at the bottom because the public policies and the laws here throughout the centuries of the existence of America, when we talk about history. But Paul Mooney said, I think it was Paul Mooney, white people don't hate black people because if you did, you wouldn't have had black women raise your kids, breastfeed your babies. So our relationship with white America, the commonality that we have is the American culture. But again, they need us more than we ever needed them. And that is, and I would say take that. That is what I want you guys to take from this show. They need us more than we need them. So stop giving it away. Stop giving it away. Own what you create. Preserve what you create. And understand and learn the business of business. And that's it. And thank you guys for tuning in to another show of Dana with Data podcast. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you guys hit the like button to get all the notifications. Like this video, share this video, and everyone that sent in a donation, I love you most of all. I really appreciate the support. Everybody in the chat, I was rocking really hard today. I love you guys. Everybody that came on the platform, love you, appreciate you. And I will be getting a phone line, honey, because this link is so janky. The link is ghetto and janky. Spanky Big Head, thank you. He said, I watched the meeting Trump with the African leaders. Trust me, they are not there to better relations with ADOS FBA. And the one from Liberia said to Trump, we stand behind Make America Great Again. Yeah. They ain't thinking about us. They are not thinking about us. And it's funny how he had the meeting with them right after the Essence Festival, the Tether Festival. That's what we should be calling it, the Tether Festival. You're absolutely right. Make America. They want to know, how can we help you make America great? Because we don't want to end up like Liberia with Gaddafi. They don't have the balls and the courage to govern their country like Ibrahim. See, he's on a whole nother level. Black Americans, let me say this too. We always had very strong solidarity for the continent of Africa, especially when we know when it's a country that stands up and fights back against white supremacy. Thank you again, Alonzo. He says, gatekeeping is a must. Burna Boy said we don't have culture and he cosplaying everything about us. Exactly. And I think he tried to roll back that comment. But if you notice, that nigga ain't have a hit since. Now, I do like his new song, Sweet Love. But when you listen to it, he's cosplaying Jamaican. He's cosplaying Bob Marley. That sounds, the music, the flow of it, it's Bob Marley and the Wailers. And that's probably why I like it. Because that's what it reminds me of. So yeah, they need us more than we need them. Never forget that. Never forget that. So listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in on a Wednesday afternoon. Like I said, look out for that video that I'm gonna be dropping, exposing these damn African leaders going back to the 60s, honey. And that's it. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe, stay blessed. And I will see you in the next video. Bye. They said we them folks. Yes. Oh, wait, let me show it. Yes, we are. We are them folks. All right, guys. Bye. Oh, wait, honey, let me do my outro. What?